City of Pflugerville Parks and Recreation Commission meeting for Thursday, April 18th, 2024. It is 7:01 p.m. Citizens communication. The commission welcomes comment on parks and recreation items. Public comment that is made on an item that is not on the published agenda will only be heard by the commission. No formal action, discussion, or comment will be made. Each person providing public comment will be limited to 3 minutes and will be asked to state his or her name and address for the public record. Do we have anybody who would like to speak? Anyone? Nope. All righty. Approval of the minutes, item 3A. Discuss and consider action to approve the minutes from the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting on March 21, 2024. We do have a copy of them here. Did everybody get a chance to read them?
Yep.
Any questions, amendments, anything that needs to be changed? All right, do we have a motion to approve?
I will motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, thank you, Amy. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have 2 seconds. Pick one. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Motion carries. We're going to move up to item 4B, discussion and presentation regarding a downtown east project update.
Yeah, we double booked Emily tonight, so we're gonna get her first. Get her out here. And then once she leaves, we'll cut loose.
Oh, absolutely. That's where you dressed up.
Glad you're coming on our side.
That's right.
Advance?
Huh?
You mean advance?
Sure. Well, good evening, everyone. I think I know most people, if not, I'm Emily Barone. I'm the Assistant City Manager for the city. And I know that the commission had asked for an update on Downtown East, and so we're here tonight to provide that to you. For those of you,
You do it. Oh, just kidding.
okay. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Downtown East project, it's a project that's going to be located at the northwest corner of Pecan and 685, right across from HEB. It's a 29-acre tract that the city purchased at the end of 2021 for the purpose of creating a mixed-use development that will include the multi-generational rec center, as well as future city hall. It will also be a very vibrant development, including retail, other commercial opportunities, as well as some residential. So we've been working with a master developer on this. It's a public-private partnership to help us really bring this to life. And we've been going through many steps and a lot of work on the foundation to get this out of the ground. And so when going through this mouse a little crazy, the city council set forward for us 19 goals, and I think I shared this with you the last time we provided an update. And so with these project goals, we're trying to meet all of these, and there's 19 of them. Many of them are circle around the parks component, whether it's the rec center or really the open space and the vibrancy of the development. I won't read through all of them for you, but know that these are the things that we're working towards as we work forward in this development. There's the other balance. You see that number 14. It's delivering a multi-generational recreation center that offers athletic, cultural, and social enrichment to the community. And I know many of you were on the commission when we had BRS. They're one of our architect firms working on the center that came in, and you did this huge exercise with all kinds of postcards to kind of help with the programming of it. And tonight we'll walk you through kind of how that's taking shape. So here's where we are in the design process. We acquired the land there, and we've been working on the top through our project team, market analysis, conceptual planning, developer solicitation. That's where we got our master developer, which is Griffin Swinnerton, and then a huge amount of designers that come along with that. On the public side, we had a citizen bond committee in various aspects for the project, as well as a steering committee that really helped us as well with the recreation center. Today we are under project design and working towards permitting and our public design and engagement. We do anticipate construction starting by the end of this year. So some of the efforts that went into the recreation center programming were also related to, as y'all are well familiar with, the Parks and Recreation master planning process. The timing was really good for us to be able to utilize that effort to help provide that additional feedback for the programming for the site. in that, as y'all know, there was over 30,000 touch points on that really helped to inform the programming as well, which looks at aquatics, fitness, sports, and that community recreation. And so these are all elements you'll see in the programming design for the rec center. So the rec center will be located, you can kind of see the 29 acres kind of transparency back there. The rec center will be kind of that initial invitation to downtown East right there on 685. That's the blue box there. And it'll be at the corner of future extension of Main Street at 685, right adjacent to about a 1.2 acre plaza, which we hope will have a stage and other type of really active and vibrant programming for those kind of day-to-day uses for people walking through the project, to great programming opportunities for our parks team. On the right, you see a rendering, though we're still working through a lot of the exterior pieces, so you won't see a lot of that this evening. That's just kind of a concept design there for the rec center. We will have 10,500 square feet of retail on the first floor of the rec center along Main Street, and that is being provided by the master developer for the project. That's part of the vibrant element of this project, something that's also unique to offer adjacent to a rec center.
So this will be phase one? The rec
This will be
center
included, yes ma'am. So in phase one, it'll be the rec center, the 10,500 square feet of retail related to it, the 1.2 acre plaza, as well as City Hall, and a cafe that'll be located just outside City Hall, as well as all the infrastructure to support the development. So getting into the rec center piece, which is really exciting, and Shane can help me on a lot of this piece, but we've been working with our architects team, which is BRS and FGMA, a really, as y'all know, you met BRS, very creative team that we have on the rec center. On the main floor, you'll see that they're able to achieve those 4 high school sized courts or 8 middle school sized courts. That's that big kind of cream color block there, which will be able to host a variety of not just basketball, but pickleball, volleyball, the
yep,
whole,
all of them.
the whole nine. And so really meeting the need there. And that's really the biggest square footage of the rec center for us here. We're also able to achieve the lifestyle pool, working on some of those elements, but it'll include a slide area, looking at a beach entry, some lap lanes, little lazy kind of river is what I call it, but I
Right.
think there's another
Yeah.
piece for that.
It's a circuit, it's not a circuit, a current pool.
A current pool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in all of these elements, we're really trying to meet the needs of all of our residents, and that's really getting to that multi-generational component. So looking from our babies to our seniors and being able to offer all of that for our community. That's in the upper left-hand corner. The blue squares just south of there. I don't know if I can't see the mouse there. Are locker rooms. To the green space, there's an indoor turf, which will be a really unique element for the rec center. Not a feature we found in other rec centers, but we were able to get this square footage in here. What's unique about it is that we plan to have a hill that connects from the first floor to the second floor cardio and workout area. And so that'll be a really unique feature that we think a lot of people will enjoy. Further on the left-hand side, you see the pink box. That's really our administration area. Also Child Watch, Senior Lounge, and indoor play will occur on the first floor as well. The purple box that you see there, that southern part is Main Street, and that purple box represents retail. Any questions on the first floor?
There's retail in the building itself?
It is part of the building. You can't. Our discussions are related to accessing that, but it's part of the front part of the building.
Okay.
Okay, the entrance to the building will actually be off of the plaza space. And so you'll have that kind of park-like environment in the plaza that's just to the west of the building, and then you'll enter into the building from the plaza area.
Will there be local businesses as part of the retail, or just franchises from the developer?
Our goal is to get a mix of both.
Okay.
Why did we choose to put retail in the space for the rec center, to take up that space?
So the retail component, it's the frontage along Main Street. we were able to fit all of the programming elements of the rec center here, and it really provides for that vibrant corridor along Main Street, which allows for access to the rec center as well as retail and commercial development.
Okay.
It may be on another floor, but are we having any plans for any type of event center or stage?
Yeah.
Yep, we'll get to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Lisa, I tend to think of it, don't get hung up on the idea that the retail's in the same actual building. It's just, there's retail and there's a rec center
Right.
right next to
You,
it.
it won't feel like the same.
No, I was just concerned that we gave up rec
Yeah,
center
I see,
space
yeah,
for
I see.
retail.
Yeah.
That was my only
I see.
concern.
Yep. And we haven't done that. Okay.
Has there been any, looking at the possibility of maybe like a retail being, I don't know, I'm just imagining like a juice, shop
Oh,
or something where
sure.
someone who's actually in the rec center might be interested in having that,
Cafe.
like a cafe that actually does serve exterior and within at that connection point, so that it's providing some value to the recreation center and the folks using the recreation center.
Absolutely. We think there's a lot of opportunities for that kind of compatible commercial use. So this week, Shane, Jeff, and Jonathan and I actually spent about 8 hours of our week with our architects team talking about things like that.
Okay.
Those kind of connections and making sure that that opportunity isn't left out. And so if we do get that user that's a great, like a smoothie shop or something that works well with the rec center, that we have the design opportunities to incorporate that connection point as well.
They're using it as a recruiting tool in some ways
Yeah.
as well. Like, we have an event center space that, that'd be a great catering
Yeah,
option.
I mean,
things
you're
like
gonna,
that.
you're gonna have a lot of consistent people going to the rec center, so I feel like that'd be a huge plus for a retailer like at that, left corner, if they would be able to utilize that and not just be on the outside, where people might just
Absolutely.
walk by it and
Yeah.
not use it.
Yeah. Okay. I also did not mention, there will be party rooms on this floor as well.
Yeah, the,
Um,
off the pool, that yellow box off the pool is party rooms where people can book a couple hours, they can play for an hour and then eat their cake. And we'll rotate them out and the next group comes in after.
On the second floor, you'll see a track with an adventure course, and you might remember, Shannon, I don't remember the actual distance, but you kind of see that figure 8 in green there. And one of those is it's the same level track like you would see in our current rec center, so you can just walk around.
So if you just did one of the squares, it's 9 laps.
9
It's
laps for a mile.
Yeah, and then the second one, because there's some elevation and some potential outside, I think it was like 7 or 6 laps was a mile on the
Yeah.
second half.
So that's that adventure course component of that second part of the track, so you can go up and down in the track and makes it a little more challenging and more adventurous on that side of the track. So that that's over the basketball courts, volleyball area, the gym area, and so you'll be able to look down below on those games going on. Along kind of the corridor that you'll see more fitness and open fitness areas as we work towards kind of the front or the bottom part of the building, that's the frontage along Main Street. That green bar that you see there, that's some of the gym that would connect to the turf via a hill that's on the first
That's
floor.
the second floor turf, where we envision people doing stretching and pushing sleds or things like that. Being able to utilize that area, there.
And then the larger kind of cream colored one right there in the corner, that's really your cardio workout area where all of your machines and things would be located. Great views at this location along Main Street to the south, as well as the plaza there to the west. And then we have 2 additional group fitness rooms on this floor as well. And then on the third floor, this is really more, Melissa, to your question, kind of our event floor. We have a 300-person event room where we would envision there be some kind of stage, as well as an attached catering kitchen where we could offer light cooking classes.
Cooking classes. Well, one of the things from the master plan, we had a lot of people interested in cooking classes for youth and for families, and so we're wanting to make sure we're providing some space that's an option as well.
Yeah, and one of the schools, I'm trying to remember, has a really strong culinary arts division, because we used to use them for the
Oh, yeah.
chamber. So that's a
The
good
ISD
connection for
kids,
them.
yeah.
To have a professional kitchen to cook in.
Yeah,
That's Conley.
Conley, yeah. So then there's also a lounge area on this floor, as well as some, the wet and arts classrooms are located on this floor as well. in the corner there, you see kind of an open white area. That's actually an outdoor patio. That's at the southwest corner that will oversee also that same kind of view as the cardio on the floor below of the plaza as well as Main Street.
And the second floor retail space, potentially.
And then the gridded area that you see there, we are looking, that's kind of the roof area of the retail space. And we're looking to see if there's opportunities to utilize that space as well for other types of outdoor gathering. That's something we're still working on the details with our architecture team on.
Are you taking reservations yet for the stage? I just want to.
Pre-booked a little bit in advance.
Pre-booked.
That would be great.
I think it's important at this point to, when you see all of that, we've done tours in the state. Some of y'all went with us, and some of you saw some of the other places we've been. I don't think, just not the retail section, but the non-retail section, we're right, just a little under 130,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Doss Rec is right around 80,000 square feet. The Rec in Grapevine was 109,000 square feet. I think Apex is a little under 100,000 square feet. I don't know. Right now, I believe it's the second largest in the state, only to the Epic, which is it's
just
a totally
a
it
lot.
should be in its own different class. It had an artist in residence living in that building, and had a podcast studio, and had
And everything you could think
everything.
of. Yeah.
So it is as large as any offering I think is currently being offered in the state. Allen, I think, is building something that's similar size, but I don't want anyone to see some of that retail and think we lost space. We're getting one of the largest recreational offerings in the state of Texas. It's
And
an
so-
incredible facility.
Yeah, and when Shane says 129,000 square feet, that's just the rec center.
Just the
That-
rec center.
There's an additional 10,500 square feet for the retail space. So and our main goal was to make sure we could fit all those programming elements within the rec center. And when our architecture team said, yep, we can fit all these things in here, that the steering committee recommended and the council wanted, like that vibrant element of the retail was then able to fit here as well.
And we've been working hard. I was talking to our staff. The idea of community next to Capitol, the idea of rec next to retail is not something you see a lot in Parks and Rec. Most of those facilities get 13 acres. They're all on their own, and they have great parking. But when you see the private sector has, like Magnolia, for example, where you can go to Waco and you can eat, you can also stay in some of those communal spaces. You can you can shop, you can do all that thing in one spot. You know, our challenge as a city was, I think we could pull that off in a community next to Capitol environment, or a rec next to retail environment, and we have pushed really hard to do that. And it's not something you're seeing in other places in the state or even in the country, really. So we're super excited about what that opportunity provides us next to retail, next to what all the phase 2 will be as well. It could be a really unique spot that, I think a lot of people would be envious of.
The
Have we
print's
thought-
too small for me. Just tell me what the big old space is. Is that the event center space?
The-
The big white space?
That's the
That's
first floor.
That's actually
that's-
that's actually roof space.
Room?
Roof.
Roof.
Because
space.
of the
Okay, so
elevations of the
show-
gym.
The largest yellow box that you see would be
Okay.
the 300-person
Got it.
event
Okay.
space. And then the orange is a lounge and like a pre-function area where you could queue people before letting them into that building.
Dressing rooms?
There is
There's-
storage.
There's storage and restrooms on this floor.
If we end up getting a stage, there could be a backstage area. There could be some
Yeah.
potential things there.
That'd be nice.
Okay.
we
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, please.
Have we thought about what we're going to put in the classrooms? And the reason I'm asking that is, have we thought about if we're gonna have a computer room, or we're gonna have a sewing classes, so that we have to worry about things like power, that it's not just tables and chairs?
That's what we were doing some of this 8 hours. Maybe not specifically a sewing room, but like making sure any art room potentially has what it would take to run a kiln if it needs that. The fitness on the second or the mezzanine level, making sure that we accommodate how many treadmills would be needed, either floor plugs or wall plugs, to make sure all the treadmills. We know that we'll have some classroom space that might have sewing in 1 hour and some sort of card in the second hour. And it could even, that classroom could be an esports room at night, or it could be a Dungeons and Dragons or boardroom type programming as well. So we have some flex spaces, you know, that we see as an opportunity. That 80-person space could definitely be well, I don't know if it'd be rentable space. Could be classroom space, could be programming space. And the 300-person event room space, that's where that commercial kitchen abuts to, or the catering kitchen, sorry, abuts to. Won't be a commercial kitchen on the third floor, but that we could also teach food classes out of there as well. So a lot of classes could happen on this third floor.
I was just hoping we weren't just gonna have like power along the perimeter, that maybe we'd have power on the floor too, so that,
We're definitely doing power on the floor in some spots.
okay,
Yeah,
Yeah.
good.
right. Absolutely. We don't want to limit our flexibility in
Right,
programming. I
exactly.
think that's your point.
Yes.
And so we are mindful of that and trying to make sure that our architect teams are mindful of it as well, so that we're not stuck in the future. Well, we could have done this if we had just put this here.
Thought ahead, yeah.
We were talking about wood grain earlier, you know, in the you know, Class A, Class B, Class C on the, not only on the basketball court, but, you know, in a dance room. Is one of the dance rooms wood, and one of the dance rooms some.
Yeah, one's
Fake.
more high impact.
High
the other
impact
one's
wood,
more
yeah.
Like a dance floor.
So we're definitely going through all that right now with the architects. But we didn't get through everything in the 8 hours either. We still had a little bit
No,
of.
so we have two
We
more
didn't get to the
sessions
third
like
floor.
this.
Yeah.
That will really get into those details, and we're happy to bring these back to y'all so you can see kind of the evolution of the building, and making sure that we don't miss out on some of those opportunities. When we were looking at it every day, it's great to have a fresh pair of eyes on this, so that we make sure we're checking all the boxes.
It's like the same exercise y'all went through where they ask you, do you want this or this? And the second one sounds so much better, you want it, but then if you do that for everything, you
Right,
get,
yeah.
you don't have enough, all of a sudden I lost a turf floor, you know?
Yeah.
So it's one of those where they're asking about what do you want in these different rooms, and we're trying to figure out what we can do, yeah.
One thing
Can I
I'll-
put in another thought too that you and I think have already spoken about? So the way the library is designed, the reason I could put so many art shows in there is because they have the railing around the perimeter with the wire hanging down, and it's a very easy way to flip out art. If we had something like that, even on one floor, you'd have an immediate art gallery that you wouldn't have to hire additional staff for, because your rec center staff would already be there. And that would just be another location where we have art, public art. If it was designed ahead of time. Was it Catella or Capella? What was the other?
Catellas,
Catella.
Are they
was-
still involved?
they are not.
Got it, okay.
Chelsea?
Oh, I was just gonna note, when it comes to floor outlets, if it's a place where you're gonna mop, I would really look
Yeah, I was
at that,
saying
'cause
drop down.
we had a lot of floor power at some schools that we built, and it was really
nightmare.
challenging for maintenance
Which won't
in
mop.
areas where it was for mopping. And there are some more sophisticated that are more watertight, but you can still end up having issues. So the way that we solved it, just to throw it out there, is actually through like furniture equipment pieces, like the power towers. So having power, and then what's cool too is power towers are completely flexible. It's not like, oh, there's a floor like right there, but none of our things can, so we have to move the tables around to reach it. Instead, you're able to have power towers, and you can move them from room to room, floor to floor, and really prioritize where you put those in a completely flexible way. So that's just something that I would maybe consider instead of floor power, because it can be very challenging if it's not carpet to maintenance.
That's great. Thank
Yeah.
you for that.
I have a couple of questions on this side.
Okay.
Okay, so back to your original on the construction. It's supposed to start at the end of the year, and is it going to go in phases? You know, is this part of everything being built all at one time, or the rec center is going to be by itself, and then City Hall? The roads are going to be cut through, and is there going to be a light at 685? Is somebody taking all those things into account?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We are looking at the big picture of all those pieces. So phase one does include the infrastructure, City Hall, and the rec center. So you'll see all of that starting to come out of the ground all around the same time.
Okay.
Now, the construction schedule is about the same for City Hall and the rec center, though there's some nuances where the City Hall is more like an office structure, and the rec center's got more specialty items like the pool. And so there's some things like that that might take a little bit longer. But the goal is to get them all up out of the ground around the same time to be open in the fall of 2026.
2026.
And so that will include
That's
that
pretty
Main
aggressive.
Street.
Okay.
And we have gotten approval from TxDOT for a signal there at Main Street and 685, which Main Street would align with the driveway to HEB. And so you'd have that four-way intersection there.
Okay,
Okay.
cool. Now, one more question.
Sure.
On the other side, on the creek side,
Yes.
you know, crossing the creek.
Uh-huh.
You guys talked about this bridge at one of the meetings that we had out here. Is that something that's gonna be put there, or is that gonna be another bridge put there?
You're talking about the
The
pedestrian bridge?
Emmanuel Bridge right here.
At this point, we don't know just yet.
Yeah.
We did bring, a couple weeks ago, we brought all our architect teams out to look at the bridge, as well as some of the city owns the Gentrack property now, where Main Street will be going through as well, to look at how maybe we can incorporate some of those pieces into the site. That hasn't been nailed down yet, but we do appreciate the historical nature of that bridge structure and trying to find a creative way to utilize it. Okay.
Do we know yet where it's gonna cut through the back of First United Methodist parking lot, Main Street?
We are almost there. Yep. Yep. Good. Okay. So coming up, we're working through the entitlement process. So on this property, we'll be going through the zoning, platting, site development, building permit, everything that you would typically see with a development. We are going through that. That's what we'll be working on. We're working on it right now. Wrap that up at the end of the year before we start construction. We will have a community engagement booth at the Slice of Pflugerville, which I know you are all familiar with that event, coming up on the 27th. And we'll have some information at that booth, some pictures of City Hall, and then we're going to have little engagement opportunities for getting feedback on elements that should be included within the plaza space. And then we do anticipate construction beginning in December of 2024.
Is the plan to have every square acre, I don't know if that's the right term, covered in building, or are you gonna have a portion, say, like if we wanted to have a spring festival, there's, 3 acres available for an outdoor festival of some sort, or is it all gonna be building?
It absolutely will not all be building. So the site does have quite a bit of floodplain, about 9 acres of floodplain that runs along the creek. And so you'll see that really featured behind City Hall. You might be able to see it a little bit, kind of on this transparent piece. If you can kind of see this blue piece right here, City Hall, all of this will be open space. It goes to the creek, which runs about right here.
That's where the trees are now, correct?
Correct, the tree space is there. This plaza space is the area where we would imagine some type of festival opportunities. Adjacent to the plaza space will be what we're calling Street D at the moment, though we'll come up with a better name for that, but it's a pedestrian street, which will allow for the opportunities for farmers markets. So we're similar to how we're thinking about the inside of the rec center. We're thinking about how do we electrify that street with opportunities for plugins for food trucks, lighting, music, things like that, to really make it an active and vibrant location. So that will be located just along the other side of the plaza. The plaza will include kind of like a great lawn in the center, surrounded by things like nature play, as well as we're anticipating a stage on the north side of that for those types of, whether it's music in the park or some type of other, whether it's Slice or other types of festivals, that, as y'all know, our incredible park staff comes up with awesome festivals. And so we think that this will be a really great location for that. The other really key, but not maybe as programmed space, like a plaza, is very particular, just to, and I lost the mouse again, along here where you've got the residential in this location here. So there will be a green space buffer here. We do anticipate that all of this area will be green space. We might see here a playscape or some more of your traditional play or park type elements in this location here before getting to any type of building structures. Along the north side here, you'll see we anticipate we'll get residential with some commercial really focused along the north side of the plaza and rec center along this street as well. Those details we're still working on, still trying to also be flexible in that, because these elements along the north side here, these would be part of phase 2. In phase 1, this will be surface parking to support the rec center and City Hall. Surface parking will be located on this side as well for support of all of the buildings in phase 1. In phase two, we'd imagine that there would be a district parking garage right here, which would allow the opportunity for buildings to go up on this side. But there's absolutely quite a bit of green space. Whether it's programmable like a festival will just be probably more focused towards the center of the space, because we're also trying to be very mindful of the residential to the west and to the north of the site as well.
What kind of, I'm sorry, I just lost the word in my head. You said something, the parking. What'd you call it? No, the parking
Surface?
structure.
District to garage?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
what's that, I've not heard that term. District
It's a parking garage. We called it a district garage because it would serve all of the district, or all of this parcel.
Oh, okay.
I have some sort of retail down below it too.
It would be wrapped. We anticipate it being wrapped with commercial, so that on the other side of the plaza, you would also have a very vibrant kind of, hopefully like a restaurant scene. And so you're able to eat and play. It's that whole kind of live, work, play idea for this area.
Do we know, this is a perfectly selfish question on my part, because y'all know where I live. So is that going to be a really tall structure then, so that people can now?
It will be several stories. We don't know the number of stories yet. It will be several stories, but to your concern, which is very valid, there's quite a bit of distance from this. And so you wouldn't have where in some of the taller buildings direct shot
Right,
over backyard. So it's a good distance, which is why.
What is the setback, do we know?
I do not know off the top of my head. We are working through the PUD for that, but I will tell you here, this is all green. This is all green space till you get to another street and then the building. And so it's a decent distance. I want to say don't hold me to it, but I want to say it's 150 or so feet from that property line. Thinking about the rec center, I think the rec center is about 300 feet in width. So it's about half of that here before you get to the street and then any type of structure.
Gotcha.
And so, and I can appreciate where you live, and so I will look up that in detail so that you have
Okay,
that.
thank you.
Is Pecan Street, from what I understand, so Pecan Street will be a one-way east going all the way to 130, and then a one-way coming west, coming back around past the new mural by Princess Craft, and come out where the rock gym is.
No, we are not changing directional.
Okay.
Main Street, Pecan Street remain in a two-way
Okay.
format.
Okay, well, I have to shoot the messenger now, so.
Okay. Many years ago, that was a concept to think about how could we ensure better traffic flow in and out of downtown, but that is not the case. It's Main Street, Pecan Street, all of the streets will remain in a two-way traffic flow.
And part of the reason I asked is because we had that mural painted on the back of West Pecan Coffee, which is a really odd place to have that mural that says "Welcome to Pflugerville," and you can't see it because of the Princess Craft building and the trash trucks that go through. And I thought maybe that's why streets were changing, so you would be able to flow right past that.
Oh.
I mean, that was before I came on board here, so I thought that was just an odd space to put that.
Yeah,
mural.
I mean, that is one of our opportunities that we've been able to achieve with
Yeah.
private development.
Gotcha.
And actually, coming down First Street, you've got a great view of that mural.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions?
I have just a few items.
Sure.
Well, one question on the Parks and Rec building.
Uh-huh.
Are there specific sustainability goals? Are we trying to go for LEED? I guess Austin Energy. We're not in Austin, so it wouldn't be Austin Energy Green
Yeah.
Building. But are there sustainability goals for the building?
So part of the 19 goals established by council was to consider sustainability for the buildings. We won't seek out a LEED certification, but we are looking for LEED standards and have our architect teams researching all of those elements, and that was part of our conversation this week.
Yeah, a lot of discussions this week start out with lead-like.
Right.
Lead-like. This is very lead-like, or,
Yeah, okay. Cool.
Lead's expensive.
Yes.
The certs for sure. That's
Yeah.
one of the reasons we're not just
Yeah.
pursuing the certs themselves.
And it can be, and so, yeah, and that's definitely a balance, right?
Yeah.
And how we look at those. So really looking for that long-term sustainability, and that's something the council asked for as well.
Yeah, it's just, when cost comes up, usually some of those sustainability items are one of the first things to go. So committing to a sustainability goal, like a certification,
Yeah.
it is very expensive, but it does, you have to keep the goal in mind, so you have to prioritize getting those points, and you can't cut corners, which is
Yeah.
kind of nice.
Yeah.
But I understand it
Yeah.
is really expensive
Yeah.
to get LEED certified. And I know in previous, I can't remember if it was here or for something I read, there were thoughts of maybe having a sauna within. Is that still part of a
Sorry.
consideration
Yeah,
within the programming?
That's still
That-
being discussed.
yes,
It's-
that
That's me
is.
asking selfishly.
Yeah.
No, no,
I mean,
that-
I literally had a gym membership just to use the
Yeah.
sauna when I was.
I'm still trying to get a cold plunge in there too.
Ooh, we're building our own cold plunge with
Yeah.
a freezer.
I got,
right.
I got support.
wow.
for
We
Yeah,
got
with
support
the-
for that. So as you kind of see through these the pieces that I showed you, it really looks it's still sketch form. And really a lot of that is because they're trying to, when you think of like a puzzle, put the plaza pieces, how does that fit with the building next to it? And some of the more refined images that we were shown this week that we had a lot of feedback on, it did include a sauna and some of those other elements where they could, once they got a little more dialed in on, hey, the bathrooms need to be this size, oh, we might have room for a sauna or these type of elements.
That's one of the things that has carried over, and we haven't seen value engineered out for sure. Like that, it's every time they present it to us, there's still a sauna in it.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're
Cool.
pushing really hard.
That's exciting. And
My
I,
cold plunge may not make it, but the sauna.
and I do want to say too that, I hear what y'all are saying about the retail. I will, from what I've seen, especially in Austin, a lot of the very successful gyms have that relationship. I think immediately of the climbing gym that's right by like airport, and it has the like bar and a bunch of food.
Austin
and it's
Bouldering Project?
Yeah, the Austin Bouldering Project.
On Springdale? Or?
Yeah, like that. Like it's just such a, people go to the bowling park and they hang out in that area. They visit the retail, and there's a green area. People might walk over and hang out at the green area. Maybe they take their kids to the rec center, to the plaza, and then to the park. So I do like that, and I think it's obviously reflective of the P3 partnership that y'all are. So the first phase is getting that benefit. So I want to recognize that.
So this could be a mini Kalahari, is what you're thinking?
Yeah, mini Kalahari. One thing I do want to say, just, as someone who's followed this project pretty quickly, because I'm also part of a pretty interested stakeholder group with this development in general, I am very excited that we're having a community discussion next weekend. From our perspective, the community engagement has felt a little bit low on this development and on the progress of this design. It's really interesting to hear that construction is starting in December, because I follow the city council meetings and I look at the presentation, so I'm pretty aware of how the project is progressing. I would just, maybe like to state that it would be really beneficial, I think, to the city, to everyone, to the community, to feel as though the community engagement part is being prioritized a little bit higher.
I agree.
I like that there was a stakeholder group that voted on the P3 partnership. I'm not sure if the subcommittees or steering committees had any community members in it, but if there's a possibility of in the future maybe involving more community members to kind of talk through and give their perspective on, items, not just with the buildings. I understand y'all would probably prefer in a lot of ways to have staff that more intimately understand how you would program these buildings, providing that type of feedback, but the look, the feel, the usability, the adjacencies, I think community members could provide a lot of good feedback on that. The type of retail that would be attractive, the type of appearances that would be attractive, the type of art installations. So I'm appreciative that this weekend or next weekend, there'll be that engagement piece, but I would maybe just give a recommendation that maybe another committee or some more extensive level of community involvement be considered within this, especially because the adjacency to residential. So it's just a recommendation, a thought I would like to share.
Sure, I absolutely appreciate that, and we absolutely value community feedback. And probably over the last year, what we've been working really hard on is that agreement with the master developer. And so there's a lot of information that kind of goes into that to be able to execute an agreement with them before we can come out of the ground with any type of concepts and things like that. Prior to that, we did have engagement on art pieces, the sociability aspects of it, building materials, things like that, and looks like that. that have been incorporated and provided to our architect teams to get there.
And the steering committee had a,
And all of our community our steering committee, the P3 committee, I think we've had 4 different committees, all of which were made up of community members.
Okay.
And our goal here
we
too,
took
and
tours of DFW with that group and
Yep.
saw a bunch of different facilities
Yeah.
and layouts and stuff.
yeah. And our goal here too tonight is to provide you an update, is to get great feedback from you all, but we've also been to PCDC, to Planning and Zoning Commission, to ensure that we're kind of touching all those points with all the residents that contribute to the boards in your specialty, in parks or planning or economic development, so that we ensure we get a lot of that great feedback. So I appreciate that comment.
Okay.
What's the timeline for, I'm assuming demolition of the cotton gin for a park, is gonna be a parking lot?
It's going to be a combination of things, and that will occur this fall as well.
Okay. Is there any information online about that?
Not today.
Okay.
We are working on things for the acquisition of right-of-way for Main Street related to the adjacent church property, so that information is not available today.
Well, to Chelsea's point, when and if cotton gin comes down, we need to have major community engagement on that. Because there's a lot of old guard that are tied to that cotton gin that don't know that it's coming down.
Okay.
Yeah. To mitigate a big,
I hear you.
Community
I think
ban
one of
on
the
that.
pieces of the cotton gin, we recognize the historical value that it's had there. One of the pieces we'd like to use on our tour with our architects was we invited them into the gin, had them look at all the pieces and the corrugated metal that surround it, and asked them to look at it from an angle of how could we incorporate any of these
and
pieces in.
repurpose. Exactly. That's
and-
what I'd love to do.
Yeah, and so that's one of our goals, and really looking to our creative team of architects to show us kind of their ideas of how to
Yeah.
incorporate that, and can provide kind of those concepts, whether it's an art piece or maybe it's a wall of material that comes from there, so that we incorporate that piece of history into the
Yeah,
projects as
give all
well.
those materials to Erin, and she can do it in art and other places. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good. All right. Thank you so much.
Good presentation.
Do you want to, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Erin's got someone with her. Do you want to bump them up?
Oh,
Since we're already bumping things up,
Yeah.
she's 5A.
sure. We will go to item 5A, which is a discuss and consider action to approve the installation of a mural, Flight of the Pollinator Planes, in Windermere Creek Park at the westernmost extent along Gilliland Creek Trail West on the embankment wall associated with Grand Avenue Parkway. That's a lot of big words.
Can you tell I didn't write that?
Yes.
I don't even know what westernmost
It purdy
is.
go here.
Yeah.
May I borrow this?
Yep, good luck.
Thank you. All right. Well, good evening. We are very excited to bring another mural project to you. This will be our second one for this year that we bring to you. The artist is Liza Fishbone, and the title of the proposed mural concept is Flight of the Pollinator Planes. And I'll let Liza kind of discuss that a little bit further with you later. The location of the mural supports our Trail Capital of Texas designation by enhancing our trail system, as well as it bolsters our pollinators initiatives that we have been working toward. As with every mural and art project, our intent is to create destinations within our park and trail system and throughout the city. For everyone to enjoy, visitors, residents alike. So the mural is proposed along Grand Avenue Parkway. Y'all may be familiar with this location, but it's my understanding that this location is probably the start or the ending point of some of your 5Ks. Is that correct that you have?
Turnaround point. Yeah,
Turnaround
always.
point?
Yes.
Okay, so it's going to be a highly visible point, and also one of the goals within our public art program is to ensure that the public art is distributed throughout the community. This is a really great opportunity on the west side of town within our park system. Our floodplain and creek system is just, it's perfect for that. So We are very fortunate. So this is on the westernmost extent of the Windermere Park along Grand Avenue Parkway. The red line, if you can see it, it's generally the full extent of that embankment wall along the roadway. And the yellow line shown on the screen is generally where phase 1 would be, representative of the proposed mural tonight.
Is it gonna eventually be that whole red line? That there will be art?
Maybe.
Okay.
Not tonight, but it is a great opportunity. My initial thought might be it's the wall becomes part of that series that we have. But I'll talk to you a little bit later about kind of the concept of how to make it cohesive.
Gotcha.
So that is phase 1 location. This right here on the left-hand side, this is a portion of phase 1. You see a little red flag at on the left-hand side, but generally it's facing north along the wall. And then on the right-hand side, that is the northernmost extent facing southward toward the creek. So at the lowest point, it's maybe a foot in height. At the highest point, it's about 12 feet in height. So phase 1, there's definitely multiple opportunities for other murals along this extent if that is the perspective and recommendation of the commission. But generally, we would like to move forward with phase 1 with some sort of pollinator theme. So it's about 620 feet in length. The phase 1 area, the approximate dimensions are 100 feet in length and between 10 to 12 feet in height because it's a sloped wall. So on the southernmost end, it's 12 feet in height. So we will need to do some site prep before artwork is installed. Some of the site prep includes spot or complete removal of the skim coat at these locations. On the southern portions of the wall, that's where we're having the most difficulty with the skim coat, and so long-term having that coat removed might be very helpful if that's where we intend to provide murals. Also, it'll need to be, as a general practice, pressure washed and primed, and after the artwork is installed, an anti-graffiti coating will be installed. The budget for this project, or phase 1, is $40,000. This includes some of the preparation for the pressure washing, the priming, as well as the anti-graffiti coating, which is very kind of labor intensive. So that's all included within that $40,000. The skim coat, that would be separate, so there's additional costs associated with that. So with phase 1, we'd like to explore kind of the pollinators concept more in the nature, for nature pollinators. But in the future phases, based off of some of the feedback that we have received through the questionnaire that we started providing at large city events as well as at the library, which is just a standing sort of station where people provide feedback on the public art program. We really want to see that of culture, diversity represented in our public art collection. And so with future phases, one of our thoughts would be that we can use the pollinator concept, but more in a social and community context. I think that some of the artists that we have spoken to thus far, that kind of lends itself to a lot of opportunities for how you create that and providing for those different perspectives. So that's generally where we're kind of looking to provide for cohesiveness along the wall. But we can kind of talk about that later if that is something that y'all would like to explore for other fiscal years. But that we wanted to take that into consideration up front as we start this process to ensure that there's a vision. And with that, without further ado, I'll hand this over to Liza.
Cool. My name is Liza Fishbone. Thank you for having having me tonight and letting me show you my design. I'm really excited about it. I want to give a little bit of background about myself. First, I do fantasy murals and immersive art. I've been doing murals for over a decade now in all sorts of spaces for all sorts of clients, private, nonprofit, community organizations. Yeah, and I'm really excited to show you more. So I wanted to give you a couple examples of some of my past work. My mural style is very much fantasy, nature, landscape. Everything I do is very site specific, so I spend a lot of time getting to know the neighborhood, the community, the history. I take inspiration from the local plants, history, architecture. I see what kind of traffic is flowing there, who's seeing the wall, is it being seen like quickly on a highway or slowly on a walking path. The wall has also seen a lot. It's been around longer than I have, so I take that into account, like what has been here before me, and what kind of audience is seeing this. I really enjoy painting plants, so I like to look at the local plants and the local critters. I'm also very much inspired by like fairy tales and magical worlds, so I kind of fuse those things together, push it through this imagination tube, and out pops this whimsical wonderland. I like all the murals to look like they've been just ripped out of a storybook. This is one page, it's one scene, it's one environment that you're stepping into. So this is a mural. The bottom left picture is the wall before I painted it. And then the mural above, this is in Beaumont. It was painted about a little over a year ago, and it's inspired by the cattail marsh that was there. I spent some time there, and when thinking about what I wanted to paint, the client just wanted something beautiful. So I looked at the cattail marsh, I learned all about the plants that were there, and a lot of them have these adaptations to help them deal with the stressful environment, and I was like, wow, I could use that. So I got to Beaumont, spent an afternoon at the cattail marsh, and came up with this design. So this is called Mellow Marsh, and it's this fantasy marshland with these cattails that are actually narwhals. And then a lot of my work also, it deals with like mental health things and creating universes and characters that reflect mental health and kind of provide these safe spaces for you to go. So that creature on the right is called a molly grub hunter, and it eats depression worms. So this whole piece is about just having a space of calm to like mellow out. This was a piece in St. Louis, which is where I'm from originally. So it was really cool to paint there. It's in this neighborhood. They wanted, again, something beautiful, something fun. It's at the beginning of a tiny little main street, so they wanted kind of an entrance to that district. It's next to a park. That fence is like the edge of the park. In it is a kid's playground with swings. It's a big place that the community goes. And this piece was inspired by some of the history of the neighborhood. It was designed to be a garden city, so the way that it's set up is very like all the houses face certain directions, and the height of them is so that you can see the most trees, and there's plants everywhere, so that's where a lot of the plants came in. And made this big bee. It's named Bubbles on the swing, and now the kids can swing with the bee, and it's very much loved. I get messages all the time that's like, my kids and I visited Bubbles. And it's also been a merchandising opportunity, which has been pretty cool. And the last one I'm going to show you is also in St. Louis. This was for a private client. It's at the end of a kind of dead-end road where there's just warehouses, but the client lives in one of the warehouses across, and he wanted something beautiful to look at. So it's on a retaining wall, similar to the one that proposed here. Retaining wall, truck dock. His thing is moths, so he loves moths. So we put his signature moth in there, and then created this trompe-l'oeil gateway. It's called Secret Garden. Trompe-l'oeil gateway with a path. There's a little bike in it. did this faux stonework with these faux tiles that have different kinds of plants and birds. And then he wanted his cat, so that's his cat, the city cat. And it's really nice. It's kind of a surprise. You drive down this, in between a soap factory and a, other factory, and then there's this mural. So those are just some examples, just to give you a little bit of my background. It's kind of what my stuff looks like. My painting method combines spray paint and latex paint. I also come from a scenic painting background, so everything is very it's about creating atmosphere, layers, atmosphere, color, light, movement. Yeah. So now for the design proposal here. It's called Flight of the Pollinator Planes. This was my inspiration. I was learning about pollinators, and I got in touch with a friend of mine who's an environmental educator, and I was asking her, can you tell me about pollinators? What's the deal? I don't know that much about them. And so she gave me a bunch of information, but one thing that really stuck out to me was about how pollinators can identify different plants and how to find their pollen. So plants will have nectar guides on them, so colors, patterns, shapes to help guide the bee, for example, into its pollen core. And I thought that was really cool. And she described it as, think of it as the pollinator is a plane and the nectar guides are the landing strip. And that instantly conjured up this image of insect planes. So the themes are pollinators, Texas wildflowers, Texas pollinators. It's very much fantasy. It's a narrative. It's about movement. The site for this mural, as it's on a path, it's really important to me that the mural has a feeling of movement, just as the people who are using the path have a feeling of, are moving. And that it's like a narrative, it's a whole story, rather than just static images. And it's about community, there's some teamwork involved. And again, I'm really inspired by fairy tales, so there's this kind of magical narrative element to it. So, and Texas sunsets. And also how insects see plants in different kinds of colors. That's those two pictures of the flowers. One of them is under UV light, and then the other one with the yellow and the purple white is how the insects see it. So this is the design. It starts on the left kind of nighttime and moves to daytime. It starts with those flowers, that kind of glowy UV contrast look to how insects see it. And then there are a series of pollinator planes, so they're butterfly planes with little bee pilots, and the bees have little helmets on, like those old school leather helmets, flying towards the giant queen bee, who has the castle strapped to her back, and then more of the flowers on the right. It has those same kind of sunset clouds that I've done in other murals. And here it is from far away, so you can see when you're approaching it from a distance, you'll see the bee, the big bee. She'll need a name, but we can get there. That could be a community thing,
The bee.
Beyonce.
Yeah.
Oh no. Beyonce. Shane's a good name for bee.
Just saying.
So that's the mural, and I also have a little printout of one of the bee planes. That's a coloring book page, so I can invite you all to take one. I can pass them around or leave them here, whichever's easier.
For me, it's easier just to grab it.
Alright, I'll send a couple over. So you can see a little close up. I know the design is it's such a long design that seeing it on a screen is a little bit tricky, but
That's cool.
yeah,
I like
that's
it.
where we're at.
That's
It'll be really fun. It's, I hope that it becomes something that is kind of iconic. You know, it becomes this landmark. It's fun for kids. It's fun for adults. It's
that's cute.
magical. Yeah, and it becomes something that the community takes ownership of, because that's the most important thing. Like, my job as a muralist, once I'm done painting, I leave, so it's important that the community, first and foremost, is like, it is now belongs to us. It is our mural.
Good job.
I got a
Any
question.
thoughts of
Thank you,
attaching?
that's awesome, whatever you, I mean, it's awesome. But for a question for either Shane or Aaron, you referred to this as a destination thing. That doesn't strike me as a destination location. It's a very transitional location. If I wanted to specifically visit this mural, I'd have to park, I don't know, Windermere Pool and walk half a mile
There's an opportunity to park right up.
on the street.
Yeah.
Okay,
On
I
Black
thought about that.
Locust.
I didn't imagine, okay. Yeah, okay.
It
Is there
has
public
like
parking along there?
Black Locust,
Yeah.
it has like the street,
Right,
and then
okay.
on the shoulder of the street,
Okay.
it has parking, because
Right,
all of
okay.
those houses have the garage in the back.
Or walk from
Oh.
Windermere Elementary School down.
Right, but that's,
Yeah.
that's still as far as going from. Is there any plans for anything else to make that area more destination?
We are working with a landscape architect firm to start the process of making a connection from what will ultimately be Piccadilly, right? Piccadilly Park, what we're calling Piccadilly Park, which is right across the street from that elementary school, and would go behind the HOA and ultimately would hit an underpass that would connect to the side. So everyone from that side
Oh,
of the
so there are
trailhead.
plans to extend the park
Yeah.
under Grand Avenue?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So everyone
Okay.
from that
Okay.
trailhead would be
Okay.
able to.
So
this
it would no longer just be a transition between
Yeah.
the street and
Yeah.
what's there now? Okay.
That is one of our, it's still one of the higher priority items that on the trail master plan, the problem has been previously that an HOA owned it and that it's not just flat and straight. There's going to be some
Okay,
cost.
no, extending it under Grand Avenue in general sounds
Yeah.
like an awesome idea, yeah. Okay.
Well, it looks really good, when you're running toward it, to that wall. There's nothing there now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just blank space, or riding a bike. I understand, you got that tree line, and it's kind of like the tonal effect, and you see that wall back there. Looks really cool.
Yeah. Hey, Aaron.
But it is like the 5K turnaround,
Yeah.
those things, so a lot of people will see it. There's a lot of 5Ks in Pflugerville.
Yeah, we'll say run to the queen bee and turn
Yeah.
around.
Run to the Queen Bee and back.
Hey,
Shane the
Aaron.
queen bee.
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
Any thoughts of attaching augmented reality to it?
Yeah, I can, we can speak with Liza about that if
Yeah.
that's something that she would like to explore.
What does that mean?
I have done
Okay,
that before.
so just give you an instance, let's say that the mural was there. So I take a picture of the mural, put it into software, somebody else makes a reel, and it could be the reel of you painting, or it could be aspects of the actual painting. And so when people walk by and hold their phone up, that reel starts to play. And so it's a really nice, that makes it a destination. Plus, having table and chairs sitting out there would make
That's
it a
what
destination.
I was gonna say, it'd be nice to have
A
some benches
picnic
out
area
there.
of some sort,
There's-
yeah.
there's-
And a way
The
to
trees
do,
and-
I don't understand the scale, but if there was a way to stand in front and take a picture of a particular
Yeah.
area, that would be really cool too.
Yeah, so it is 100 feet in length, so I definitely would envision probably parts of the mural that could be used with that sort of intent of having kind of close-up imagery, but also kind of the larger scale, Instagrammable photos. Mhm.
How feasible would it be just to throw a couple of extra park benches on
Yeah.
the other side of the sidewalk?
That's
so you could
something-
sit
Yeah,
and look at
that's
it?
what I was.
Yeah, that's something we could do as
I
well.
mean, that seems like a pretty small ask.
Yeah. We put some concrete under them and put them off
Yeah.
the trail. Mhm.
It's really beautiful, Liza.
Yeah, it
Good-
really is.
Good job. Yeah.
I'm gonna
As
make
a,
some-
as a part of
She's
the
passionate.
pollinator subcommittee, I
That's right.
love the theme.
Mm-hmm.
The only question I would have, or thought, just to throw it out there, just channeling my inner, the other folks that are on the subcommittee who talk about pollinators, and then the one lady who is very adamant about native Texas bees. Do native Texas bees have queens? Or is that only a honey bee, a honey bumblebee
I'm not
type of
sure.
characteristic?
Jonathan might know a little bit.
So the only reason why I asked that question is because thinking of people who are like really, really passionate about pollinators, technically honeybees are, they're not native to Texas. So just a thought out there, if, just making sure that the bee kind of represents maybe our native Texas imagery. And then, and maybe a future part, if it expands into like a pollinator theme even further, what's also kind of unknown pollinators like bats, that's very prominent. And so maybe not it being incorporated in this phase, but maybe a future phase. But, butterflies get lots of loves, but, bats are pretty cool too.
It does have queen bees. I Googled it.
Oh, okay, nice, okay.
10% have a queen bee.
Which reminds me,
Yeah.
And they have hair. that-
Is there any milkweed on the mural?
Texas.
Same.
Is there any milkweed on the mural?
so that was my question too, is how many of your flower, I know they're fantasy based, but are they based on real native?
Yeah. There's
So
like the
I
blue
recognize
bonnets
bluebonnets,
and-
the rest
there's
of
no
them I'm not sure
milkweed.
about.
Indian sunflower.
Okay. Yeah.
Easy addition.
Because that's the kind of quintessential monarch butterfly food.
It's really cool.
Yeah, this is awesome. I mean, I'd love to be in your head for 5 minutes. I'd be overwhelmed past that, but very
Next
cool.
slide. So you'll have a recommendation in front of you tonight. This is discuss and consider.
I make the motion to approve.
Hold on.
I will second.
All right, we have a motion by Chelsea and a second by Amy. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
Congrats. Thanks for coming.
It's exciting.
And I'm like, hey, wait, I don't know about that.
Just Shane's updated foundation.
And I run toward the wall.
Mine will be short. Yeah, I ride my bike on that trail.
Yeah, I did. You must look around more
All
when you run
right.
than I do, because I don't see anything when I run.
We will go to 4A, discuss only. Discussion regarding director's update, including information about project status updates, upcoming special events, and staffing.
Actually, take my jacket off.
Hello, everybody. Jonathan Hansen, Rec Superintendent. I'm going to go over some of our programs and events that are coming up. So, as you can see, we have our reoccurring classes once again up there. There will be updates to this next time. We are looking at adding 2 additional Zumba classes and another potential yoga class. It's a morning sunrise type yoga. And so those reoccurring classes, I know they're on there each time, but they do change. So keep an eye out for those changes. For the programs and events that we have coming up, Earth Day is coming up this weekend, this Saturday. Is a large Earth Day event that we're doing at Pfluger Park. And so you can attend that event. It's going to be a cleanup as well as an expo. And so we will provide vests, grabbers, buckets, all the things that you need to help clean up. But it's a great chance to go outside, get active, but also be a part of cleaning up.
What time?
Yeah.
Ooh, let me get that time for you. I don't remember off the top of my head. There's also, you'll see on there, a new program coming up called the Birding Nature Walk. So you can sign up for that. It will be a walk through our trails while also looking for birds. And we're going to have the Audubon Society there to help us out in identifying those birds.
And a staff member, who I don't remember her name, posted in the Travis County Birds Facebook group about it.
Probably Vanessa.
Yes, Vanessa.
Yes,
that's
she
right.
is the one who will be leading that that walk with the Audubon Society.
Pretty active group.
Yes.
9 a.m. to 1. Okay.
Where does the birding walk start?
Ooh, I will have to look that up for you too. I do not know off the top of my head.
If y'all could refrain from asking any questions.
It is going to be a month. The nature walk's going to be a monthly thing. She said.
Yes, yeah, this is the kind of starting point for that. Also not included on that slide, but Dave will also be starting some tree walks. And so those 2 programs will eventually probably end up not being at the same times, but you could participate in both. So you can get your trees and your birds fixed for both of those. For PF seniors, you can see the different events going on for that this coming month. The one I want to highlight here is Movie Night at the Rec with Mrs. Doubtfire. That's a great one. So these trips, once again, the goal of these trips is to save the seniors from having to make these travels. And so these events that they're going to will save them from having to travel 80.6 miles this coming month. So next I want to cover the LCRA, the Lower Colorado River Authority Riparian Restoration Project. That's a mouthful. This is a twice a year cleanup in conjunction with LCRA. The purpose is to remove invasive and nuisance plants as well as dead trees, shrubs from along our creek system. So their staff come out and volunteer to clean up about a 100-yard section of the creek in Pfluger Park. It also includes $1,000, so they sponsor $1,000 to help provide the supplies needed for this cleanup to reduce that impact on the city. This year they had 50 volunteers. They volunteered 150 hours in total, and they collected, along with all the trees, shrubs, invasive plants, they also collected 12 bags of litter while they were doing this too. So we appreciate them helping us make sure that our creeks and streams are clean.
Hey, what's that little circle at the bottom?
It's a helmet.
Yeah, it's just a helmet.
Yeah.
The inside of the helmet.
That one I know.
Good job, Ryan. Just testing you.
I did have a resident ask me about that. They were concerned.
Helmets?
No. Thanks for the clarification. About the removal of the riparian zone. They were concerned whether or not taking all that out would make the flooding worse with heavy rains.
That's a great question. So one of the things that we're doing as a staff is we're working to make sure as we take those things out that we're putting native species back. And so that includes seeding those areas. But what we're essentially, we're not removing everything that's there. We're only trying to remove the invasive species, as well as the things that are dead to provide new space for new plants to move in, quote unquote, and grow in those spaces.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely a valid concern, but we're doing some things on our end to try and help solve that issue as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, and I actually think too, Dave is planning some stuff
Yeah.
this Saturday at Earth Day.
Oh, in that same place, in that same location.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely, you have to take things out, but then you also have to replace.
Stabilize the shore.
Yeah, and so that's the area in which we're focusing on after they help us with the pulling out, is the putting back in of things that we want in that area. So this is a recap of the 2024 Egg Palooza. So that was Saturday, March 30th. We had 3 different time slots. You can see those listed there. There's also a slideshow running there so you can see pictures. The weather was great. We had a little over 600 attendees. That's a 21% increase from last year. It was packed out there. We did it on the 1849 soccer complex. Last year we did it on the football complex. It was packed. This year we did it on soccer, and we're already looking at ways to expand for next year. Some of the other things, we utilized our park staff, as you've seen them posing there.
They always post for us, and they never think we're going to violate it. We always do. We always do.
And then we also use some of our aquatic staff. It's a cool moment for them to, even though they're often seasonal, they get to feel like they're a part of this department, which they are, in helping out in these events. And as you can see,
and the bunnies.
Is that
Yeah.
you and the bunnies?
That's I haven't done the bunny in a while, thank goodness. But.
That's my favorite. Or that one. I don't know. It's hard.
So next up is a slice of Pflugerville. Last time I gave you the save the date. This will be a little bit more of an in-depth overview for you as the Parks Commission of Slice of Pflugerville. So don't miss it. It's Saturday, April 27th from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. in downtown Pflugerville. As you've probably hopefully seen, the headlining band, we're really, really excited about this. It's a great get for us. The Los Lonely Boys will be our headlining band. That stage will be set up right at the end of Main Street next to Railroad. So there will be plenty of space for people to come in on Main Street and watch that performance. But I don't just want to focus on the Los Lonely Boys. They are incredible, but we do also have some really great performers as well. So on the main stage, you'll see Spicy Loops. So that's a performer who he uses a guitar and creates loops, which is like a recorded
With a looper.
thing that he plays. It loops it, and then each loop he adds different pieces to it. So he kind of builds a song live in front of you, which is really cool.
He's figured out how to perform without having to sing.
Yeah.
Actually pretty impressive. Yeah.
Is that scheduled online, or do I need to take
Yes.
a picture of it?
Yes,
Okay.
it is online. It's also on all of our social media as well.
Okay.
And then we have also the Peterson Brothers. So they're local to Austin. They're an Austin band. They do a soul, funk, blues, jazz. Some might call it Americana type music. And so we're super excited to have them. And then, as I said, the Los Lonely Boys doing what they call Texican rock and roll. So they'll be finishing it up for us. For community performances, we have a lot of different communities represented. We have a West African drum and dance community, a folklorico group. That next one, the School of Dance, they actually do Bollywood dancing, which is really, really cool. That's a new group for us this year. Austin Powwow, which does Native American, and then the Dragon Dancers, which is traditional Chinese. We also have plaza stage performers. These are in the best little plaza in between Hanover's and City Hall. These will be more interactive type performances. So the Soulshine Rhythm Experience, that's a chance for people to actually get to participate in the drumming. And then the Pflugerville Library Poetry Society will be there as well. The event map. So when you show up, you'll want to go to the field. We have rented the field for parking. You can park there. We have 2 shuttle buses that will be running back and forth and dropping off right there at 3rd Street and Main. So that's where it'll drop you off. That's also where you'll get picked up at. Right there next to the kids zone, we'll have art vendors right there on 2nd Street. In the middle, it's all anchored by the bite zone, which we'll talk a little bit more about here in just a minute. And then you'll see the main stage over to the right near Railroad.
I had a question from a potential vendor that was in last year but got turned down this year. Is this time to talk about that, or would you rather have that on a one-on-one conversation?
Was that that Education Foundation?
United Partners.
Yeah, we can follow up with it. Essentially, what we did with this event was we wanted to make sure with the space that we had that everyone out there was providing some sort of art or vending, some sort of thing. So
Some product.
if they didn't highlight that, that might have been why they didn't make it. But yeah,
They were in last year and they were selling product. I don't know. I'll talk to
Yep.
I'll talk to Debbie.
and then loop us back in. We can talk to them.
Okay.
So, as I said, the Bite Passport program, this is one of the big parts. It's a great way to pass on culture through food. And so this year's Bite program, essentially what happens is you can either purchase online or day of a Bite Passport for $10. So what that passport does is it allows you to go to each one of these vendors, show the passport, you get a little sample of each of the items that they listed there. So those are their Bite foods. They mark that you've went to it, and then at the end, you rank what you think your favorites were. You then turn in that last page of the Bite Passport. At the very end of the day, after the Los Lonely Boys perform, we hand out first and second place prizes for People's Choice, and we also have some secret judges who will be going around and making their recommendations. If you are selected as one of those, you get a custom engraved cutting board that you can hang in your place of business. They look really sharp. They have Slice of Pflugerville engraved into them. And so if you competed last year, and we do have some returners, and you won, you may end up with a wall full of these if you keep coming back. So they also do have their full menus that they'll be cooking as well. So If you try something and you're like, oh yeah, I want some more of that, you can always talk to that vendor and purchase that from them.
Oh, that's it.
That's it.
On Slice, anybody have any questions?
I got it.
Okay, yeah. This gentleman looks pretty familiar. We just wanted to highlight our
Who's that guy on the right?
adopted spot. Might have been a shameless way to highlight Ray and his team. But this is the Healthy Kids Running Series. They've adopted a spot at the lake, and Ray was the representative for the Healthy Kids Run Month, received a proclamation from the mayor this month. So,
Congratulations.
We're excited about talking about our history. Over the years, I've had the opportunity over and over again to share my story, not just about me, but about growing up in a part of history, the Fluters, the Bowles, and many other families who started this community way back in the late 1800s. And how we have grown over the years has been amazing.
so that was a reel done by our comms team, posted on our socials. It was the ribbon cutting from Tuesday night for the Bowles House. Bowles House was built by Henry Bowles in the early 1920s, passed on to his eldest son, Kenneth. And it stayed in his possession until he had passed away. And some of their descendants sold that property to what at that time was PCDC and the partnership with, it wasn't Typhoon, but it was whoever it was before then, Hawaiian Falls. Ultimately, it's become the Typhoon, Texas property. The city, PCDC paid $40,000 to relocate that home from that property onto the property at Heritage Park. And also built a foundation for that home to sit. It sat there for a while. 2016, 2017, James Jimenez and his team took, the previous Parks and Rec director, and his team took the opportunity to renovate that to City Hall, or to City Council. Ultimately, the cost was prohibitive at the time, but with the growth that the city's seeing in the Parks and Rec department, when I got here, I think we had 28 full-time staff. Is that right, Junior? Something like that?
Yes, sir.
And we're right around 45 full-time staff now. So we've seen a great growth. And we just were busting at the seams at the rec center, which meant that some of my admin staff, we moved to Wordisms, but Wordisms is part of what ultimately is going to be the downtown east renovation. And so in a way to allocate some opportunity for us to move, we revisited renovating the Bowles House. It was approved at council 2022, I think, summer 2022. And then CIP Engineering began working with the design that came from 2017 and getting it up to current code and standards, and working with getting construction documents and all the things needed to renovate that spot. And we're in it. The staff is in it right now. I don't know if anyone is interested in a tour tonight. Anyone?
tonight?
Well, anytime really, but those that are super interested tonight, I can drive back over to the spot and show y'all, or we can set up another tour date at a different time. But we're over there. We're super excited about it, and it has my leadership team. So Jeff, Jonathan, and Junior and Jasmine are on the first floor with me, and then Dave, our forester, and Larry, our project manager, are upstairs, and we anticipate a couple capital improvement staff to go upstairs as well. So it's super exciting.
Yeah, it looked really good.
Yeah, Stan was there last night. Appreciate that.
On either my phone or my computer, I filmed the moving of that house. It was put on that big truck and carried
I
to
think
town.
there's a YouTube clip that I saw when I first got here.
I've got a really good one, and it goes for a really good price.
Where was
I bet it does.
where was the house originally?
It was at where Typhoon, Texas is now.
God, I must have been living here when it was there. I don't.
And
It was at the corner. It was actually closer to the corner to Costco, that
Okay.
intersection. It
Yeah.
was in that triangle
Yeah,
space.
yeah, I was certainly, yeah.
And
I must have
they
driven past it
just-
thousands of times and I
Yeah.
don't remember it
And
now.
yeah,
It's
Can't
too long
remember
ago.
yeah.
I don't think they even got on a road, if I'm correct. They just they stayed in the farmland. And
I think you're
run it all
right,
the way
yeah.
down.
They own
Yeah.
across Pflugerville Parkway.
Right.
That was the only road.
Junior drove the truck, I guess.
Yeah. Watch.
Um, Other updates, so we took to council recently and got approved for a Gillen Creek pavilion renovation. We did a structural study in October 2022 and found that was actually, for it being over 22 years old, I believe, 23 years old, it was in great shape, but there was one structural spot that had some weak points. And so the recommendation was to repair that compromised column and to wrap it with masonry stone. So whatever elements it had been exposed to previously, maybe we, with the barrier, create another deterrent. So we're doing that. While we're at it, we're going to be replacing those wooden benches and tables with our standard metal with the powder coat. And
Is that the
replacing.
big pavilion?
Yep.
Okay, so the Dorchin Fest.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yep.
Got it. Okay.
And plans right now are to have it done before the start of summer, which we really need because summer camp uses that spot. And so we'd love to have it completely done by the time those kiddos are meeting out there every day.
Are y'all upgrading any of the electrical in there?
That was my
Or-
question.
Not
I'm glad
in,
you said it before.
not in this round.
Not in
but,
this round, okay.
Yeah, right now we were following what the study recommended.
That makes
We could see a capital improvement in features update that plus some of the other electrical
Okay.
components throughout the park system.
Excuse me. While that's being worked on, it's not going to be available for like renting or anything like that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know the time frame of it? I was looking at renting it.
I think it's been blocked off already because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
if
should
you'd have
already
called,
be
we'd have
blocked.
said it was already blocked. But as soon as it's
Yeah,
open,
it already.
yeah. If you have a date specifically, why don't you reach out to us afterwards? We'll see what would have been available. Other project updates, so the Heritage Park Trail, the trail that's literally in Heritage Park that we showed y'all about last time, has started. And you can see some of the new concrete 10 feet wide paths that we're putting in from the photo there. The Water Tower and Old Town Park collaboration, we're getting that kicked off with BRS, which is the same firm that is designing our rec center and was on our master plan and evaluated all of our facilities when we worked with Barry Dunn. So it's a firm that's very familiar with the city and what we offer, and their landscape architect sub is TBG. And TBG is a well-acclaimed firm. They did the Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center and Alliance Park. Is it Alliance, Jeff? Name of it? Alliance Children's Garden in Austin. So we're excited to have that team working on that study and recommendation of what's next steps for that park. We have in the past, 2013, had a trails master plan. And then there was a transportation master plan. Transportation master plan was historically about sidewalks and streets. And the trails master plan obviously was about any trail or connection that was wider than a sidewalk. We're combining that into one effort, calling it the Mobility Master Plan. It's going to be working on our transportation and trail master plan updates. And we're working with Kimberly Horn on that, excited about what next steps look like for that. We also have a retainer now, an LA retainer. Landscape architect is what the LA stands for, and we're using them for a series of projects getting kicked off. Some of them are park improvements in floodplains, like our Gillen Creek improvements for the playground. Some are what we were talking about, working with that HOA about that connection point to Piccadilly to Grand Avenue. We have 4 or 5 projects working with them already, but Studio 1619 is a really great firm. We have worked with them on Wilbarger Park North. We're working with them on Wilbarger Park South, the dog park. They were the ones that we worked with the Stonehill sports court that we told you about last month, and we'll give you another update soon. And they also did the outdoor fitness court at Gillen Creek. So you got a lot of experience with Studio 1619. Other improvements, Scott Mincer Pool is getting bathroom and guardhouse improvements. Windermere Pool is getting decking, tile, fence improvements. And then the Windermere, so if you've ever been to Windermere, you've got Windermere Pool, and you had a building next to it, and across from it you have Windermere Clubhouse. Windermere Clubhouse is something we've owned for a long time, since the Windermere system gave us that park property we completely took over Windermere Clubhouse as a rentable spot, obviously took over the pool as a management spot, but we leased back that office to the HOA for $1 for 99 years. One of those really cool agreements. But the Windermere HOA is dissolving, does not need that office anymore, which is great because Wordyisms was kind of our backup plan as we moved into Bowles. We thought we would be able to continue to help offset the amount of staff that were at the rec center. If you've ever taken a tour of this place with staff here, we've got sometimes 3 people or 4 people in offices, so it's pretty crammed up here. And we were hoping when Bowles opened up, Wordyisms would allow us to leave and some folks go in there. And with Wordyisms being part of Downtown East, this provides us that opportunity still. So it kind of fell in our lap. We're fortunate. We're having to do some renovations, pulling out carpets and replacing some things. But ultimately, it looks like our special event team will be in that space. So Bays and Gabby and Jimmy and Garrett will be over there for sure, which will alleviate some space here at the rec center.
So is Windermere Pool gonna be open this summer, or is it gonna be, okay?
Yep.
And then, the other question I had is, when y'all are doing like the renovation and stuff, are the bathrooms gonna stay on the side, like behind the gate for?
Gillen Creek?
No, at, Windermere, you were saying that y'all were doing stuff.
Most likely,
Okay.
but it's something we could definitely look at.
Yeah.
Or you have a better place now? Is there portables out there?
So,
Oh,
no,
okay.
there's nothing.
Just the bathrooms out there? Okay, gotcha. Yep. Any other questions?
I was just gonna say, when I read guard office, I'm like, why do we have to have a guard there? And then
Got
it
to.
dawned on me it was lifeguard.
Lifeguard. Sorry.
I thought the same thing, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Another exciting thing to tell you about, so we recently told y'all about Heritage Park improvements and this really cool barn that we worked really hard with the designer. And we went back and forth for a while trying to get this dialed in the way we wanted it. And ultimately that was, that worked out to our benefit because we were recently awarded a playground distinction. We won the category for imaginative play. And you can see a little bit what they talk about when they say about imaginary play. But ultimately, this map shows the parks that have been installed by that company or the parks that are coming in that company. And this far bottom right here is the ones that have the program of distinction that we have. You can see there's one in Grant Pass, Oregon. You can see there's one, I think it was in Kentucky. And there's another one down here in California. And those are the only 3. So this program of distinction or playground distinction is something that very few folks get. The owner and the sales director from Playcraft, and they're out in Oregon. I'm showing y'all Oregon like you don't freaking know where it is. They're based in Oregon, but they will be at our ribbon cutting. They're gonna do a special online highlight where we'll have one of these dots highlighting our park. They'll include us in all their upcoming marketing efforts. So their program or their playground guide that they ship out to every Parks and Rec department all across the country will have our park in it. So that'll definitely be scoreboarding that I'll call every director I can and tell them, have you seen the current guide?
Nanny.
Yeah, have you seen the current catalog? And it also allows us to be best in class nominations. So you see the program distinctions for imaginative play. There's a different one for inclusion, and then there's a different one for, do y'all remember what the other one was? There's a 3rd category as well. We won the imaginative play category, and it puts you in best of class where you compete with the other 2 park designs for potentially the best park playground design of the year. So we're excited about that. We worked really hard with the vendor and really pushed back a lot trying to get this playground here really dialed into a way that we thought it would really highlight the agricultural past of our community, the Green Red Barn specifically. You can see the little John Deere tractor.
Mm-hmm.
This, if you remember, this 4-post is what the playground originally was. It's what, if you went out there today, everything's under the 4-post. And so this, all of this will be what is the new play value we've provided to the park. And at its highest point here, the kids are able to climb up into some of these spots here. It's almost as high as the slide over at the pool. So the kids gonna have a great view when they get up there, you know, and we're really excited about it. Next up, so the Stonehill multi-sport court that we took to council got approved. One of the things beyond that multi-sport court, so if you remember, I showed you last time the goals come out of the ground. And we were also wanting to work, so there's a group called Project Backboard. Project Backboard does a really cool, they're a really great group, and they go into blighted communities and they rehab basketball courts with this art. This is an example of Project Backboard. So they go into a blighted area and they completely renovate that space, and so that community feels like they have a little bit of ownership back of a communal space that they might have lost for one reason or another, if it went into disrepair or wasn't being maintained. We reached out to Project Backboard when I was talking to them about what we were doing with the gopher system, and they thought it was really cool what we were doing, but we don't have blighted neighborhoods here in Community City. We don't have in Pflugerville, we don't have blighted playgrounds, parking lots, or anything. So it was mission drift for them a little bit. So we started trying to figure out a way that we could do a mural on site that made this really cool sports court even more appealing to those kids. And ultimately, we're working with Austin FC, the local soccer club here. They're going to provide the mural at no cost to us. They're going to manage the project. They'll be there at our ribbon cutting. What it's costing us is one date that I approve a year that they can have a tournament or an event out there, which is pretty cool. Nice. And they're also going to advertise our location on their
Media outlets and stuff.
Yeah. They have a website where they've done a couple of these, and they call it something. It's not a sports court for them, but it's a smaller space that soccer in the United States is played on grass, but soccer in other countries happens a lot of times in streets and any area where a kid can grab a ball and play. And so Austin FC is trying to do this grassroots efforts where they've built some of these little multi-courts and they've painted them themselves, and they have a list of those spots on a website. So you can go, and if you can't always access those fields, maybe you can access these courts. Well, we'll be listed among their, I wish I could remember the name, it's not a sports court, but it's one of these hardscapes where they've painted it and created a soccer space for the public. So we're super excited about it. Emily Eisenhart is the artist they've selected. You're seeing a couple examples of what she does. Her portfolio, if you look at Emily Eisenhart art, I don't know, you'd have to Google her name. But she's got a lot of stuff she's done all over the country, actually. And we haven't seen her proof yet, but we can tell from what she does, it's really colorful, it's very abstract, and I think it's something that's going to be really cool. The community is really going to appreciate. So we're excited about that partnership. We're excited to have Austin FC knowing a little bit more about Pflugerville Parks and Rec and supporting what we're doing here as well.
They call them mini pitches.
Mini pitches. Yeah, not mini like a lot, mini like small.
Well, there's 8 currently, so we'll be added to this website.
Another thing we're excited about, Teresa USA, we just found out we got the award again for our 18th year in a row. But we also found out this year that we were a Growth Award winner. And I can't remember all the things that you have to do to be a Growth Award winner, but I do know that Dave hounded me to make sure I knew that we were only the 13th city in the state of Texas to have received this award ever, and less than 15% in the country have qualified for the Growth Award. So it was something Dave was obviously super excited about, and if Scott was here, Scott would be happy, I think, as well. So.
There's, for the Growth Award, I think there's 3 categories that you have to be sufficient in to be a Tree City USA.
Yeah.
And there's 10 categories that you have to meet to get the Growth Award, and we got all 10 of those.
Wow. Killed it. Yeah.
Even more reason to move here.
There you go. And the goat's coming back. So we have, Junior has a trail maintenance budget. And in that trail maintenance budget, we were looking at some of the undergrowth and poison ivy last fall. and trying to figure out what we could do to address some of that. And we were looking at some quotes with some reputable firms, and it was super expensive. It would have taken a lot of his budget at that time to do small sections. And we like to do wonder sessions with our group, and we like to get around and try to work through problems and ideas a lot. And it came up that maybe there was another way. And so we tried goats in over the Christmas break. They came over the last week of December. I think they stayed with us through New Year's and then went up to DFW. And they did 15, 17 acres. It was just a pilot program for us. And it was well received. They did a great job cleaning up the underbrush. And we had what we didn't expect were a lot of people on social media coming out and just watching us. And so we heard from council loud and clear that they really thought that was a pretty imaginative idea, a way to solve the problem in a very efficient, cost-effective way, but also a way that benefits both back in the land itself and then the idea of having some of this viewing opportunity for the community. And so we're bringing them back. They're coming back May, is it 6th, Junior?
Yes, sir.
They're coming back May 6th. They're doing 75 acres. They're not only doing these 4 parcels, but we're just highlighting some of the spots they're doing. And they come with around 200 goats, and they usually rip through a couple acres a day, so they'll be here for a while. Super.
Remind us again, they put up a temporary fence?
Put up a temporary fence, and they don't use a herd animal. They have a herder that stays with them. We have to provide a water source, which a lot of times we're along the creek, so that's pretty easy. And then I just have to permit their herder's recreational vehicle to sleep in the park overnight. So, and when I say it's a fraction, it's probably a quarter of what we would have cost if we had to go with one of those companies to do this. And so
75 acres is a lot.
yeah. Well, I think between the two, we're going to spend upwards to. We might be at the rate of about $70,000. It probably would have cost us about $250,000 to do the work we would have done if we'd have hired a human firm to do that. So we're getting great value and a lot of secondary benefits as well.
So I'm assuming that you're not making this a publicized event, because that would scare the goats away, right? But, I mean, oh man, what an opportunity.
I tell you what, they barely even notice you. In fact, we've talked with comms about trying to do some naming contests and having kids come out and say, that's Bert, that's the goat Bert, or whatever.
Seems like some general social media posts. Watch out for the goats.
Or I was trying to get the herder to give us some names if they have them. Sometimes they have them, sometimes they don't. But Steve likes long romantic walks along the creek.
Some narrative.
Yeah, so we're gonna see if we can do some fun social media push as well.
Are y'all doing what was it, lamb or sheep
so the
afterwards?
Sheep. So we run sheep if there's a way. The sheep is a secondary way of pushing the naturally created manure back into the ground. So if you run the goats first and then the herder's there throwing wildflower seed, the sheep come back through and they eat a different type of vegetation, and then they just really replant this wildflower seed. Wow. We're not to the point where wildflower seeding is something that we're planting right now, and a lot of the stuff the sheep would go after is out of season, so this will just be the goats. Okay. But once we bring them back again in our fall, we will do sheep, and at that time, that goat herder for no extra cost will throw the wildflower seed that our guys would normally plant, and that the sheep herd would come after the goat herd. They'll pick up a different type of leaf that the goats move on from, and then they'll also naturally plant the wildflower seed. So
that is pretty cool.
This one's specifically still targeting poison ivy mitigation and fire mitigation. We have some, the Carmel neighborhood has got some stuff, some fire mitigation areas that they back up to some 1849 park land or some land that is left pretty, it doesn't have a lot of development, and so.
Do they just eat the ivy, or do they eat the oak and the sumac too?
They eat everything, I think.
Because I noticed there's still quite a bit of poison ivy-like things in Gilliland Creek.
I don't know.
In Pfluger Park.
I don't know
along the trails?
if we got them to that section or if
Okay.
we, you know, like 75 acres seems like a lot, but in a 1,600 acre or almost 1,700 acre park system, you know, it's kind of a drop in the bucket. So it is along the trail, but I don't know. They did a great job clearing out the underbrush and getting some of the poison ivy stuff, but I don't know if some of that stuff came back pretty quick or that's some of the stuff because at the pace they eat, they missed it.
Gotcha.
Cummings, we got a new employee, Jimmy. Jimmy previously worked at the Moody Center. He went to LSU and then Texas State and worked at Texas State before he went to the Moody Center. He's been a great addition. He's already jumped in and is helping. He's a business ops coordinator. He's already jumped in and is helping a lot with the Slice event, Slice Fluoro event, and then just some of the rentals. Loves pizza, enjoys hiking and reading, and he's going to be one of those faces that we're going to see at the new clubhouse or the Windermere, whatever we call that. And then we've got 0 people leaving, so we're excited about that. And that is the update. I don't know if there's any questions.
Go to the slide that has the 19 answers about downtown East, or 16 answers or whatever. I'm sure you're gonna hate me because it's okay, go to the next page. What I'm looking for.
What if I already hate you? I was asking, I don't know for sure.
So,
Just asking if I did.
pretty sure if I throw my pen, it'll sort of hit you, sort of. Somewhere in there, Deutschenfest is misspelled, that's what I'm looking for. Go to the previous page. Or it may be in one that's just real tiny, it may not even be in that one.
Oh, good eye.
I know, it just did, when a point popped out. Okay, so it may not be in those. So you just spend the rest of your evening going
through
PowerPoint and
Delegate,
finding
Shane,
that typo.
delegate.
I'm sure it's in there somewhere.
like a
There's a
search?
few others in there too.
Yeah, because I know you don't have anything.
We just ignored them.
That's
Good
right.
job, good job.
I will say I didn't make those slides, but I'll say whatever you want.
Okay, so let's see, that was 4A, we've already done 4B, 4C. Discussion regarding the Parks Foundation.
Yeah, so we, as a body, y'all created a subcommittee about the Parks Foundation. That subcommittee did some work on, with staff, we ultimately brought some information back that I first presented, and then we even brought in Kelsey's old boss in the Broncos, Stacy Dickey, to speak to y'all about a Parks Foundation. I think y'all gave some more direction to that subcommittee, and they've ultimately created at least the groundwork or framework of a foundation. And since we're not renewing that potentially, or we haven't yet, we wanted to make sure y'all got a full update on what the foundation has done and maybe next steps. So that's a blank screen, but it's Jennifer's time.
So basically, we're still working on getting things started, but we do officially exist with the state of Texas. So we got that paperwork done, and that's all gone through. I met with Jeff a few weeks ago and kind of gave over all our initial starting at paperwork. So our bylaws and our draft of the MOU, and I believe that's at legal right now.
Legal.
Yeah. So once that comes through, we'll probably end up meeting with park staff and just kind of talk about next steps and stuff. So yeah, we're just kind of moving along, but yeah, we're pretty excited about. We are progressing. So.
Do y'all have any questions specifically for Jennifer?
I know at one point they were saying that there were 2 paths you could kind of go for fundraising, the little donation or the big gala. What did y'all end up thinking?
We need to discuss it further. I think we kind of want to do both. I don't think we want to choose one or the other, but it's actually, so we're starting to try to do monthly meetings. So I think at our next meeting, that's going to be one of our main topics. But yeah, I don't think we want to limit ourselves with that.
Now that it's not a subcommittee, are y'all's meetings, are y'all inviting anybody to those, or can other people attend, or?
Other people can attend, yeah. Right now, it's just kind of an informal with our board. We did invite another board member on, Raul, who used to be a commissioner.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we're actually seeking out someone right now who has.
What are the board members?
It's Raul, Scott, me, and Chelsea. So everybody's been on the commission at one point.
It's an inside job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we still have, a lot more steps. We still got to work on our website, which I'm still planning to reach out to you if that's okay. And but we're coming along. Yeah. Do you have anything to add?
Just that, because we did talk about how we wanted to do the two different types of fundraising, but obviously at the beginning it would be focused a lot more in on the donation side of it. To get value out of a gala, you need to have a presence and a good foundation.
True. Yeah.
For maybe future, it could be, but at first it would be mostly donation based, partnering with businesses, and maybe just going out for grants.
Yeah, that's another game plan we're going to come up with is outreach with the community and just getting our name known and stuff. But we're going to probably meet with staff first, just to make sure
Get
we're
the
all on the same
MOU
page
in place and everything.
Exactly. Yeah, and then we'll kind of start focusing on that. But hopefully soon.
So what name did you
the
give it?
gala could be in
I
that
haven't heard the actual
300
name.
seat.
It's the Fluke Rail Parks Foundation.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Very easy.
think I think I told Jeff this. Did you already tell him?
PF squared.
PF squared.
So we.
PF. Huh?
Because we have
So we do like it, but we don't also have some conflicting
Okay.
thoughts on it. But it's, we're not saying.
Maybe an event, Shane. Maybe an event could be.
PF squared.
Yes, there you go.
What's your graphic design background, Shane?
I design every shirt here. Just know that.
Yeah, okay.
I love that shit.
So the first event, perhaps at that 300 seat event, could be their gala.
There you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
look at that.
Yeah, look at
I
that.
like that. What is fall of 2026?
Yeah.
Oh, we'll be ready.
maybe it could be the first event. Ribbon
The
cutting
initial
event
event.
to bring a lot of people into
Ribbon
it.
cut and go straight
Yeah, do you
upstairs.
want to
That's a good
see
goal.
it?
Yep.
You have to come to our gala to have a first look at it.
Yeah,
I know.
That's feasible, dude. 2
It
years.
would only cost you the name.
That's not a bad idea.
Any other questions? Awesome. Thank you, Jennifer and Johnson. I think we're just adjourning.
Here we are. Alright, item 6, it says 5 was here, but 6 is to adjourn. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Alright, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. It is 8:02 p.m.